Well, hello. It says I'm live. So, I'm just going to play this video in the background and talk for a minute about, math and how we get to use math and how we come to learn about it. This might not be the video. Let me play a video real quick, and then we will, I'll be right back. I want to talk about reality and how we learn about things. So let's take a look at this. If you don't breathe, you will die. If you stop eating, you will die. If you get a cut, you will bleed. You see the sun, moon, stars, and planets in the sky, and only in the sky. You don't see a solar system when you live on Earth. You only see all these lights in the sky. You live on the Earth. You never see the Earth you live on orbiting the sun. You see the sun passing over you every day in the sky. I mean actual reality, the reality you actually live in, the one out the front door. While carefully remembering to consider only actual reality, and testing this, you may notice some things you haven't considered. It may seem unimportant and even silly to consider some of these things, but testing this out could change how you see everything. In actual reality, is the ground beneath you in motion? If you want to say yes, please remember that the question is about the actual reality we live in. Not the one that we were taught about, not the one that we can think about, but the actual real one that we actually live in. So if you were to look at the ground right now, and I asked you if it was in motion, you should say that it doesn't appear to be in motion. It appears to be stationary with no motion. You shouldn't change the simple answer to mean the opposite of what actual reality is, or you are in error. In other words, you wouldn't look anywhere in this world and get the idea that the ground was in motion unless an earthquake was happening. To go against this observation that everyone makes is to imagine a reality that isn't actual reality at all. It may seem like a small thing, but if you believe the earth is rotating, it's a huge belief. A person who's paying attention to their surroundings in real time knows that the earth is not rotating and is actually the opposite when observing it in actual real-time reality, the one we live in, like under your feet right now. See? It's not moving. We're not done yet. Another question here. Do you observe the stars moving over during the night and the constellations over during the year? Do the stars rise in the east and set in the west? In actual reality, you do observe the stars in motion. Does everyone alive on Earth see the stars in motion? Of course we do. So in the same way, if you notice actual reality, this reality has a rotating sky, or at least the lights in the sky are rotating. Seems like a small thing, but if you keep going, actual reality will become clearer to you as you live in it. The potential of simple truth is life-changing. Okay, so I just wanted to play that because I wanted to make sure that when we're having conversations about science or about math or about low Earth orbit or about satellites and all these things that people use to act as though we've created this great knowledge. I just want to remind everyone how we come across this knowledge, how we come by this knowledge. And actually, there's a video that I should have grabbed that I didn't. Okay, let's go all the way back to, I think it was Gemini. It was before the Apollo missions. Gemini, you know what? Actually, instead of grabbing that video, let me do this. Let's do a little investigation on the internet real quick. Let me get this off of here. Okay, you guys can see Google, hopefully, in a minute. And I hope my microphone is okay. Okay. Let's look at NASA's. Sorry, I'm trying to deal with my microphone here. Welcome, Gold, Amanda Joe, Awake in the Light, Tony's Coffee House. You're back to Tony's Coffee House. Nice, I like it. Scott Level Realm, good to see you. And Mr. Super Sidewinder, awesome to see you guys. Thank you for clicking. Okay, so Project Gemini. If we do a little research, what I want to show you is that this is not our knowledge. This is not something that that the math describes, and so we figured it out. Like it's the wrong approach, and I've had a difficult time trying to put this into. Thank you, John Garlic, and welcome, and Angela Baby Carson, welcome. Thank you. What I want to point out, and it's hard to do actually, is that I was kind of having a conversation on in the chat of a video, and it's making me realize that people seem to think that our knowledge is knowledge itself, like we've built it or something. And it has to do with specifically the conversation I was having in chat has to do with why we think that we're in a solar system. Why do we think things orbit the sun? We never observed that. Nobody's ever observed anything orbit the sun. It seems to me, the more I look and look and try to, pick the brains of other people, and actually the conversation or the chat I was having is with Astronomy Live, and he's a very nice person and very sensible, and he knows a bit about the sky. And he's saying, we can measure their orbits and predict their orbits and these things. And I'm saying, well, they're gonna do that anyway before we measured it, right? Like, just because we measure something and figure out some formulas for an orbit, that means that we figured something out, or are we just making up our own, description with numbers and formulas? We're just making a description for what we see in the sky, because the sky's going to do it anyway. The sky's going to be consistent the way it is. So hopefully I'm kind of getting my point across. I was going to talk about low Earth orbit. That's a new thing. It's new. Let me read the description in this video. If I can find it. Here we go. We only gain knowledge after we observe something. So what we create based on consistent parts of reality will always work. Like the idea that the moon is orbiting the Earth. Well, there's a lot of things that make sense. I skipped off the description. Let me finish it, and then I'll talk about the moon. Orbital mechanics is a new thing in this world. Only after learning that we could move parallel with the Earth's surface at quote-unquote orbital velocity could we even comprehend what an orbit is. We didn't know that an orbit existed. We saw the moon going over us in the sky. People had ideas about it. That must be orbiting the Earth, because there's this assumption that the Earth is a sphere. But then I wrote, don't think we have knowledge based on knowing something. We have knowledge that we accept to make sense. We accept it. But what about when it makes no sense? And I'll give you an example. The moon doesn't make sense if you want to talk about a rock in the sky orbiting, because it doesn't rotate. We only see one side of it. And then so they make up just two words. Oh, tidal locking. Duh. Okay, so then all of a sudden someone thinks that they're smart because someone will point out, well, the moon is weird because it doesn't ever like rotate. You'd think that a body in space that was freely orbiting the Earth, that it would be able to, that it would have some kind of rotation to it, but it doesn't. It's one side of the moon is always facing the Earth, and it's always the same side. So to me, that doesn't make any sense. Another thing that doesn't make sense is when we have a solar eclipse, and the moon is, that according to the math, the moon is 2,100 and something, I don't know how many, what is it, 2116 or 17, I don't know what it is, miles in diameter, yet it makes a shadow on the ground that's 70 miles in diameter. That doesn't make sense. So our math can make sense all we want, like for an orbit of the moon and the sun and the Earth and all of these things, but when it doesn't make sense, somehow it seems like, especially since we were born into this world being this way, it seems like everyone just gives it a free pass. Oh, that's the umbra penumbra. Duh, are you dumb? Like, yeah, but I was watching an eclipse, and I saw the moon, what it looked like, probably the moon going in front of the sun, and there was a shadow on the ground where it was like nighttime, and it went right over us, and it was 2.5 minutes, and then it was back to daylight again. That doesn't make sense if the moon is supposed to be that big, okay? So I'm pointing out things that don't make sense. So Gemini, let me do something here. We'll read about Gemini in a minute, but the point I want to make about Gemini is why, what were they learning during Gemini? Could they have performed the maneuvers that the ISS does today, back when they were doing Gemini? No. They had no idea what they were doing. What they were doing was testing the boundaries of their basically speed, how fast something can move. And they found if they move fast enough sideways, and really the only way to do that is to go up above to the thinnest part of the atmosphere, or where there's essentially no air, to move that fast. Otherwise, the heat and pressure created is just too much. So they did that, and they kept trying to, just think of the progression. We have airplanes. We learned to fly back 120 years ago. Men started flying, right? The Wright brothers, we figured out how to fly. And then we had some wars, and these wars really advanced that flying technology a lot, because there was a reason to. And so then there was fighter planes, and now we have these crazy fighter jets, and they can go faster than the speed of sound. So that was one limitation that we kind of reached and then bound right past it, right? The speed of sound. Once we could go that fast, we're like, hey, we can go faster, right? So we did. We went faster and faster, and then we found that there was a place we could go if we went sideways fast enough. We didn't figure that out with math. We didn't figure that out with because we had some knowledge. No, we're just living in the world and pushing the boundaries of our understanding, which one of the things was going fast. How fast can someone go on the ground? Well, I think they've beaten the speed of sound now on the ground, out like in the salt flats. I think they have. So, do you get what I'm saying with this? We're learning something only because it's there doing something consistent, and we're trying things, right? Okay, so the Gemini program, let's just look at this really quick. Excuse me, we'll go to nasa.gov. Gemini was an early NASA human spaceflight program. Gemini helped NASA get ready for the Apollo moon landings. By the way, keep in mind that they're naming these things after false gods. And Apollo, that sure sounds a lot like Apollyon to me, the angel of the bottomless pit. So just a side note. 10 crews flew missions on the two-man Gemini spacecraft. The Gemini missions were flown in 1965 and 1966. They flew between the Mercury and Apollo programs. So we probably should look at Mercury too, but I'm more familiar with the Gemini, so I just wanted to look at a couple things here. What happened on the Gemini missions? Astronauts accomplished many things on the Gemini missions. The first flight to carry astronauts was Gemini 3. That flight tested the new vehicle. The Gemini 4 mission included the first U.S. spacewalk. So, how did we figure out how to spacewalk? Was it because we predicted it down on the ground? Said, yeah, if we do this and this, then we'll be able to walk out in space. No, that's not how it went. We thought, like, well, it's like there's no air up there, and there's really it's almost no pressure. So there's going to be some issues if we just try to go out. If we need some kind of pressure suit that's really strong, and that's going to have some kind of umbilical so that we can have all the things we need, like air and to maintain temperature and all these things. So they did all that, and then they went and tested it out, right? So then now on the ISS, spacewalking in a spacesuit is a I wouldn't call it like routine thing. It's still like probably the most dangerous thing they do. But nevertheless, that it was something we learned about the environment by learning about it. We didn't write the book. We don't have knowledge about it. It's like when we look up and we do parallax measurements of of a planet or of the moon or whatever, or the sun. And we do these measurements, and we can triangulate, and we can go 6 months later and we can look at it, and we can say to ourselves, it appears that Mars is this far away because we have these equations, and we did this math, and we come up with these measurements. I would just remind people that are thinking that way that Mars isn't tangible. What does tangible mean? Let's look at exactly what tangible means. Tangible, perceptible by touch. Have you ever touched Mars? Have you ever touched a star? Has the rover even ever touched Mars? Nobody knows. We get data back, supposedly. But is it tangible? No. A thing that is perceptible by touch. Okay. If it's not tangible, you're making assumptions. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm not saying they're all wrong. If we can measure, like we can triangulate the space station, you can do it from like different states, because you can see it from like 1,000 miles away. So you can be on one side of the country, I could be on the other side of the country, and we can both see it at the same time, and we can triangulate it. And how do we do that? We do that just by knowing how far it is between us, and then taking an angle from 2 points. And where those things point together, that should be a certain height above that ground. So you would think you would probably try to compare Mars with the space station. Say, if we can triangulate the space station, then we can triangulate Mars. There's another assumption. So the space station, and a lot of people don't even believe that it's real or that it's even up there, but the people that do make observations of it, like I do, and I know that what they're doing is just exactly what they say they're doing. And you can film it, and I've filmed it. Actually, I think I'll play a video just to take a little break from what I'm talking about here, if I have it in here. Just some footage I took of the space station. And do you like reality, do you take it for granted? Do you know what I'm saying? Do you actually skip over parts of reality that you don't think you're interested in? I can't find the video. Give me a minute. Because it seems like... Oh, okay, here's the one about Gemini. This is the one I was looking for. We'll watch this really quick, or part of it anyway. Okay, I guess there's no narration in there, so I'll do it. The thing I wanted to point out with this video, this is from Gemini 4, I think. The first spacewalk, right? If you look at the Earth beneath them, they are not doing an orbit anything like what we do today. They're just not. Okay. And I take this with a grain of salt. As far as if you think this is all being faked, I would encourage you to read Ephesians 6:12 and look at the Greek words there and tell me what that means. We're not struggling against flesh and blood. There's no men faking space. Something else much more sinister is going on. Do you see the trajectory of... Okay, look at the Earth beneath them, or whatever. The globe. Even though that's just an optical illusion, but do you see them? I see them going in a circle. They're not going in a straight trajectory like they do today. They're going in a circle. Look at this is what a circle is. They're going around. They're going around something. They're going in a circle. So that's why I wanted to play that. But this other video was, what was it called? Something about reality. Oh, here it is. Okay, so yeah, they're going in a circle. This is when they were learning about what an orbit, or what low Earth orbit was. What I'm saying is, throw your formulas away if you think that they're knowledge. They're not. They're just a way to describe what we've learned in the sky. Learned by trying, right? Okay, so check this this out here. So my question, quick question, is how many of you in the chat own a Nikon P1000? Just curious. If you own a P1000, press 1 or something in the chat if you own one. Because I'm going to encourage you to do something. So here's what I wrote. It isn't being faked. They are falling for lies, literally, perpetually falling into a bottomless abyss of darkness.
Blackness of darkness forever.
And realize that we're on this very special place, and you know, this precious island in this abyss of darkness.
Space is so incredibly black, so incredibly dark.
Darkness.
It's a bottomless pit of
darkness
Forever.
deep black, almost So deep it almost has a texture when you look at it.
Wandering stars, to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever.
Okay. The blackness of darkness forever. That's in the Bible there. That's talking about wandering stars. They're reserved until judgment in the blackness of darkness. You know, the same place where those angels are bound under chains of darkness. I know it seems like it should be beneath us, but guess what? It's not. The darkness upon the face of the deep, and then God was right above that. That's this veil that we call outer space, or we call it space, or whatever we call it. You know, when we say space is fake, that's because we should be saying space is darkness, not space is fake, because darkness isn't fake. When God divided the light from the darkness, he called the light day, and he called the darkness night. So God named the darkness night, and just like he named the firmament heaven. The same way. So darkness is a thing. And I would argue that it's not a vacuum. I would argue that it's a medium that we just don't understand. Because you know how they say rockets can't work in a vacuum? And then they want to bring up the conservation of momentum and all these things and say, well, every action, there's an opposite reaction. An equal opposite reaction. So I understand that, but if you watch like the Dragon capsule, when it's trying to get close to the space station and it's firing its RCS thrusters or its Dracos or whatever they're called, they're moving because they're shooting gas into a medium, and some people might call it the ether. I call it darkness because it's a thing. It's not just the lack of light. It's not just the absence of light. But let's see if I can get back to where I was here. Okay, so let me get you back to the desktop just for a minute, and let's look at this Gemini again. Learning to walk in space. So there's a learning part to all of this. So when we measure the distance to the moon, or the distance, especially distances, when we measure distances, we are assuming that we're measuring something that we will never be able to know if it's an actual accurate measurement or not. It would seem to make sense from the ground. Like I was saying, the ISS, you could be in Texas and someone could be in Oklahoma, and you can watch it fly between you, and you can triangulate the height of it, and you will find it's about 250 miles in the air. And in the chat here, someone said it was a comment that I heard a lot. Let's see, what was it? Oh, Phil1476 says, that's the ISS. Where does the light come from? It's just the sun is reflecting. The sun is hitting it. It's still in the sunlight because it's in the firmament. So the sun's hitting it, and as it, just like the sun sets on the Earth, the sun will set for the space station too, even though it's 250 miles up. Because as something is going away from you, there's no exception to this. As something, if it's above your head and it's going away from you, it's going to appear to go down, and it doesn't stop appearing to go down. Let me see if I can find. Let's have some fun here. You guys know Awesome Austin, right? Melodome. Maybe can someone grab a link to Awesome Austin's channel? I don't know if I think it's still Awesome Austin. But we should get a link, and you guys should go over and subscribe to his channel. I just wanted to show you guys a video that he put up, a short video he put up today that was pretty good. And I can even like take it further than he did. Let's see here. I'll just type it in here. Maybe I can grab a link too. Okay, maybe there's more than one Awesome Austin. There shouldn't be. Should only be one. Oh, there we go. This one right here. Think about this, he says. See, this says only 72 views. He should have like 2,000 views on this. He should like immediately. So we're going to watch this video. So I hope the audio works. It should.
I have a thought experiment for you.
Uh-oh.
So, we can both agree that the surface of water in a pool is level, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we made that pool 100 miles long, would the surface still be level?
Oh, you're making me think.
It would still be level, right? If that's what we see with the normal pool. If it was 100 miles long and you were standing next to it and you were looking out, it would be flat as far as you could see. I mean,
I
granted.
just think at the ground level underneath, well, that wouldn't matter. It still wouldn't matter. It would still be level.
Right.
Okay.
How do you like that? A thought experiment. It's a good one though. If you went out to a pool or your bathtub or whatever, you take a surface of water and then just extend it out, you know, hypothetically. And so Austin was saying if it was 100 miles wide, it'd still be flat, right? It would still be level, he said. Right? Well, yeah, of course it would. Because if it wasn't level, it would find level. Like if there was a hump of water, it would not be a hump of water for very long. That's called a wave. And the wave would settle and it would become still and it would become like a mirror. It would become flat. And one interesting thing that this is where I was saying I could add to what this thought experiment is. So if you were to stand looking to the end from where you are, looking across that 100-mile pool, would you be able to see the other side? You would not. You would have what Globe Earth calls a horizon, like a physical horizon, but it's not physical. You can't look. Actually, I'll show you. I'll bring you to the video here. I'm going to show you a video of what happens when we look parallel to the surface of especially water. But when we look parallel to the surface, or with the surface, I don't know how to say that right. We find that something happens. There's a limit. Oh, you're not seeing his channel? Okay, let me thank you, Tony. Let me do this. How do you? Oh, here we go.
I have a
Let me just go to his channel. I'll grab a link because he only has 1.43 thousand subscribers, and he really should have more because he puts out some good content. And they have, I think it's every Sunday morning, they do the Melodome, or is it Awake and Baked, or whatever it's called. And it's, you'd just have to go there to find out. You'd have to go. Oh, thank you, Tony. I am also grabbing a link that I'll put in there just in case it's the same one. Should be the same one. Awesome. Yeah, it looks like it is. Thank you, Tony. Okay. So let me find this. Wow. Okay, let's see here. Sign going over the curvature. This is a joke, but watch what happens when we try to look parallel to the road. I'll just show you here. Do you see what's happening? Why is the road turning into what appears like to be like water? Why is it turning into a reflection of the sky or the trees. Why is that happening? Well, some people will say that's because the heat of the road. Well, it wasn't hot this day. It was cool. And if you watch the rest of this video, you'll see, just pay attention as I lower the camera. It has nothing to do with like the heat or anything like that. Nothing in the atmosphere. This is a visual, or I should say an optical illusion that happens when that angle that we're trying to look gets so small. All right, cool. Awaken in the light. Yeah, you guys should subscribe. I saw that video today and I was like, you know what? That's awesome. So I'm going to let this play for another minute or so. Okay, this is the part right here where you can really tell from, if you watch, like, see where the street sign is or the arrow sign is, and there's like maybe like 2 or 3 places beneath it where it's started to reflect. Watch what happens like right about now when I'm dropping the camera. Do you see that? That is not because of moisture or anything like that, or heat, or a change in from heat to cold, like the cold air hitting the hot tar. That's not anything having to do with that. This will happen on the water. This will happen on your kitchen table. This will happen on the floor of Home Depot. It has nothing to do with temperature or atmosphere or refraction. This is a optical limit. So the reason why I'm showing you that is because if you were looking down 100 miles of surface that was flat, and so this is one thing. Okay, if you think you're on a globe, and that's fine, but the mind exercise isn't about a globe. It isn't about anything. It's about 100-mile long pool of water. Is it level? Yes. So they would say, well, it's curving. If you're on a globe, you'd say, well, it's curving, and just wherever you're standing, it's going to be level. And that's what the whole point. Yeah, anywhere you stand along that 100 miles, it's level. And they'd say, well, but if you're 69 miles away from your first point, it's going to be 1 degree different. Yeah, prove it. There's no way to know that. There's no way to observe that. All you're going to observe is that up is up, down is down, and the pool is level, no matter where you are on that 100 miles long. So thank you, Austin, for your mind exercise. That was fun, if that's what it's called, a brain exercise, mind exercise. I don't remember. So let's see, where was I going? So you think you live on a planet. See, we gotta make sure that we don't assume things about where we live. Like when we look up at the sky and we see things that seem to be like the moon. Take for the moon, for example. It would seem, if you didn't pay attention very much, the moon looks like it is like a rock type of thing, right? Yeah, it's a spherical rock. But then you start adding some of the things that I mentioned earlier about the size of the shadow during a solar eclipse doesn't match with reality. And what was the other thing that I brought up? I don't know. I just lost it. Let's see here. Okay, so here, actually, look at this. This is the eclipse. This is a GoPro camera that we're looking at right now. And this is real time. Okay, so let me fast forward a little bit and get the shadow coming so you can see it. See that shadow coming from the right side? That is supposed to be the shadow of the moon. And you can tell when it gets to totality because it's an instant, not instant, but so if we were looking through my other camera at this point, See that shadow? Watch that shadow just inching its way towards the left. And as soon as the shadow covers the sun, it'll be like nighttime. And then that lasts 2.5 minutes. And then it goes back to like it is right now. But we can watch the shadow pass over. There is no 2,000 mile wide object casting that shadow. See how fast that goes? This is in real time. So now we're in totality. This was just a GoPro sitting on the hood of my truck, pointed up at the sky. So totality lasts 2.5 minutes, and with the speed of how fast the shadow was going, it's about 70 miles in diameter. No time ever does the sun shine on something over the earth and cast a shadow like a jet. Do you see little 1/30th scale jets shadows flying on the ground? No, you don't. If you see a shadow of a jet, you're going to see very close to the size of the jet. It doesn't really matter too much its altitude or whatever. It will be blurrier or not as blurry, depending on how high or low it is. But, oh, that's on the right side there. That's Bruce. He was someone that him and his family, we went down and filmed this eclipse down in Nebraska, south of, where were we? South of Lincoln, Nebraska. So this is the real speed of the shadow. So this shadow that's 70 miles wide is 1/30th scale according to the globe math, or the heliocentric math for the size of the moon. To me, that doesn't work. Doesn't work at all. So when we want to believe something, it sure seems like we can pretend that, oh, there was one other thing I was going to comment about. Okay. So let me just fast forward to show you the rest of the shadow. See how it goes and disappears. There we go. That wasn't very good, but let's look at the moon's orientation. Make a mental note of the moon's orientation in this first image, and I'm going to pause it once we get it there. Okay, do you see that? This is at 10 p.m. Okay, so if you look up, I'll show you. In the center of your screen, there's kind of a circle there. I don't know what they call that. I don't really care. But in the center of your screen, that circle there, or that feature of the moon, keep that. Make a mental note of where that is. What is that, about 3 o'clock or so? 3 o'clock-ish? Okay, that's 10 p.m. So then I went back out and I filmed it again at 1 a.m., 3 hours later. Now look at it. I'll pause it. Whoops, let me pause it where it's a little bit clearer than that. Okay. Do you guys see something different now? See, the feature there now is more at like... Wait a minute. I said it was at 3 o'clock on the last one. I was wrong. It was like 2 o'clock on the last one. It's more like 3 o'clock now. But I think I actually overlaid some, like a clock on these. Let me just let it play. So that was 3 hours later. And then in the morning, I went back out. And there was a different... Oops, I'm not playing it. Sorry. Uh-oh, where is it now? Now it's way down at, what is that, 5 o'clock? This is 6 hours later at 7 a.m. Let me pause it here. Okay, do you see that feature? That round feature is like down close to 4 o'clock maybe? I don't know, 4:30? Whatever it is, the moon is, it appears to be rotating, right? Or we could say turning clockwise. It appears that way, but it's not at all. It doesn't have any rotation. I'll explain it here in a minute. Let's just let this play. I think if I remember right in this video, I overlaid a clock on here. Okay, yeah. So that features at I was off. It was 1:30 or so. And 3 hours later, that features at 2:30 or a little more. And then 6 hours later, it's at 4:30 or so. So what's causing that? I think someone in the chat got it. Okay, let's... that is field rotation. That's what AAA says. I like that name. Nice and simple. Keep it to the A's. That's pretty good. Field rotation. I would have to look up what field rotation is. That might be what it's called, and I just don't know it. But that is the gymnastics that my camera has to do to look at the moon at those times. And what I mean by that is, let's pretend we're facing east. Scott Levelrum says it travels over you, field of vision straight over. Yes, it's, if you pictured, let's say a frisbee. That might not be the best thing to use, but let's say a frisbee is, how else could I do that? I'm just trying to explain it with words that you guys can picture. The moon is a flat disk, you guys. It appears to be spherical, but it's not. It's a flat disk, and we can tell by this video that we just watched. Because as it goes over you, it doesn't change its position at all. It doesn't rotate at all. We're seeing one side of it. So it's like let's take a dinner plate, and there's the side of the dinner plate that you eat on, right? And then there's the bottom side of the dinner plate that touches the table, right? So then let's just lift that dinner plate up in the air, put it on one side of the room, and keep it in that same horizontal position. And we are seeing the bottom part of that plate as it goes over. It's not turning, it's not rotating, it's just going in a circle over the Earth. And the part that we can see from the time it rises to the time that it sets is not going to be a whole... it's basically, it's going to keep the same position, because as it's setting, it's kind of going to the right, and as it's rising, it's kind of going to the, what should I say, south. So if we were facing east, and it was going to be rising there, right? So we watched the moon come up, snap a picture. My camera... there we go. AAA says, what the F? No, moon is round and moon is tidally locked. So that's I was talking about that a little bit ago. That makes no sense if the moon is a rock in the sky, because being tidally locked, that's just the excuse that we have because we can only see one side of it. But the point I'm trying to make is the moon is like a dinner plate going over us, with one side, the bottom side of the dinner plate showing, and it's flying in a circle over the Earth, and we see about maybe 1/3 of that circle, or not even 1/3 of that circle, no matter where we are. So the reason why, okay, let me pick a different part of the video. Okay, the reason why it goes clockwise in my video here is because when we're facing east, my camera is we'll call my camera level, and the moon comes up, right? Well, when the moon's at zenith and it's directly above us, or it's at zenith, my camera had to twist. Do you know what I'm saying? My camera had to twist, and I don't know if twist that's not the right word. The ecliptic I don't know all the proper terminology, but the path that the moon is on, and my telescope is just doing a circle with the camera pointed at that path, and then it just follows the moon. And you only need one sidereal motor for that. So you're just making your telescope do a circle, and what you've done is you've pointed the axis of your telescope base at the axis of the sky, the rotation of the sky, which would be close to Polaris. So you end up seeing the moon do this thing, but it's really only what we're actually seeing. Thanks, Reds. I watched your video today, and I actually was thinking about playing it during this stream because it was a good video. And I agree with a lot that you say there. Speaking of, Reds made a video. You know what? Can someone let's watch it. Let's just watch it. Whoops. Reds, I'm glad that you came because I've been learning a lot just about what the things in the sky, and to me it seems like there's I know there's a different explanation than this solar system. And I understand we were all taught this solar system. That's the world we live. That's the world we live in. That's the world we were born in, right? Or the universe, or the whatever solar system. But I want to pose an argument. Let's see here. Oops, I'll bring you guys over to the desktop. Sorry. Okay, here's the video. Whoops, right there. So we'll watch this, and
cross-functional work can be complicated.
Just so if you guys are interested, I will drop a link in the chat to the video. Okay, let's check this video out. I hope you don't mind, Reds, but you make some good points in here.
The Nikon P1000, the flat earther camera of choice. It's no secret that flat earthers worship this damn thing, and truth be told, I have one myself. It was actually donated to me by a subscriber called Jammy, who disappeared after doing so. So Jammy, wherever you are, thank you so much. I have been able to capture some awesome shit with this camera, and of course my use of the P1000 has pissed off flat earthers everywhere because I am using their preferred camera against them. For example, I used the Nikon P1000 for my Tampa Bay blink test, which clearly showed the curvature of our planet. I used the P1000 to track rockets as they're kicking ass and taking names with the help of a Celestron 6 SE and Astronomy Live's tracking software. I used the P1000 to capture transits of the International Space Station, and with some of those observations, I was able to measure the altitude of the ISS, proving that it's in space at an altitude that no plane can reach, that no drone can reach, that no fucking balloon can reach. Hell, my P1000 even...
And I think that this is why I'm playing this video, because I think that the flat earthers need to listen to Reds here. Because I've said this before. Why aren't the flat earthers out? Isn't footage of the ISS being uploaded all the time? I feel you can actually get a decent shot of the thing flying over. I mean, just about any day you want to. And I've put a ton of it on my channel, and what Reds was just saying there, no drone can fly this high. Nothing can fly this fast in the air. It would be ripped to shreds. It would melt. It would turn to slag or whatever. It's not, we don't have materials that can go through the air like that at those speeds. It has to be in a place where there's essentially no air to hit the vehicle, or it would slow down. So I'll let Reds continue here.
Even captured the SpaceX Dragon docked to the ISS after filming that very same Dragon blasting off on a Falcon 9 rocket.
So Reds was filming that Dragon blasting off, going up out of the Earth from... Reds, I know you don't like this, but when I debated you, I brought this up, and you thought it was ridiculous. Revelation 13 talks about it. John said he saw a beast coming up out of the earth, and it had two horns like a lamb, which I don't know what that means, but it says, and he spoke as a dragon. And then it was that same beast that made fire come down from the sky, and people on the ground were watching it. That's in Revelation, and he was using that miracle, Satan was, or this, using that miracle to deceive the world. Okay, the miracle of making fire come down from heaven, and in my understanding, to make reusable rockets, that's something that should be looked at with some careful thinking. Simply because John saw this thing happen 2,000 years ago in a vision. And I'm not saying that I know that that's what this is, but it sure is. The Falcon 9's a 2-stage rocket. Maybe that's what it's talking about when it says it had 2 horns. You know? I don't know. But something to think about.
Top that shit. So clearly, my P1000 has done a damn good job generating flat earth butthurt all over the globe. It has millions of views under its belt. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, while the P1000 is good for what it is, it does have its limitations, especially in the hands of flat earthers who don't know how to focus worth a damn. And I shit you not, flat earthers are using those limitations to push their conspiracy even further.
I couldn't agree more. If you, and a lot of flat earthers aren't like that though, Reds. You seem to bunch everybody into one group. I'm a flat earther, and I also know that the space station is a thing. It's exactly what NASA says it is. And SpaceX launches a Dragon capsule that you film going up to it, and you caught it. You could even see the Dragon capsule on your footage, and then later on in this video when Astronomy Live and with his Celestron and comparing it with the Nikon, you guys got some sweet footage, I gotta tell you. That software you have is pretty cool. But see, I don't see flat earthers ever wanting to shoot the ISS. They say that it's not there, and I'm like, well, what is it then? What is up there? And I've come to understand that it is exactly what NASA says it is, but what NASA's doing is exactly what I see like Astronomy Live doing. We can measure, we can, use parallax, and Reds even has videos about this. Measuring, what was it? Did you guys measure the distance to the moon, was it? I don't remember what it was. It's been a while since I watched it, but of course it's going to make sense from where we are, because this is like the sky isn't going to change because we understand it or don't understand it. The sky's just doing what it does, and so like we can't really say that we're predicting something out happening in the sky, but either way, I want to let this video play. I'm not going to probably do the whole thing because it's 15 minutes long. I didn't realize it was that long. But let me actually just skim through here. Or I'll let it play for another minute because he's going to make some good points about what... Like, I see flat earthers in general hiding from the capability of the Nikon P1000 because it is a really nice camera. And you can zoom in on things and get a good image. And Red's in this video probably shows the best use of a Nikon P1000 that I've seen. Definitely better than I know how to use it. So let's just check out a little bit more of this.
So let's break this down. Recently, flat earthers have been spreading their ignorance in regards to the P1000's capability. You can see evidence of this ignorance on Twitter, where flat earthers are posting shit like this. And it's clear what this tweet is attempting to illustrate. Because my Nikon is incapable of producing tack-sharp images of planets like what NASA can capture, therefore conspiracy. And it's not just limited to Twitter. This flavor of bullshit even makes an appearance in the Flat Earth documentary called The Next Level. And yes, I'm aware that calling it a NASA can capture such epic shots of our planetary neighbors, while their super zoom Nikons can only produce images.
Newsflash. This little aurora here or whatever. Yeah, that's CGI. Just so you know, Reds.
While their super zoom Nikons can only produce images that look like dog shit in comparison. Now, of course, there is an obvious answer here. Hell, you're probably screaming that answer at your computer screen right now. So let's give voice to the obvious answer. That a contradiction to their concept of Earth. In short, Mars.
We got an ad real quick. Reds is going to say something here that's interesting. So, about the Earth being the only planet that's flat.
Look like this and not like this, otherwise flat earthers will have to answer the obvious question. Why is the Earth flat and not the other f***ing planets?
And by the way, Reds, I appreciate that he did his censoring. That was because I think that's the perfect way to do it, because like, you know, adding the F in there, the Effenheimers in there, that adds like feeling or it accentuates something that he's saying. So there is a reason for it. But he knows it's like maybe some people won't want it, so he bleeps it out. So I think you get best of both worlds there. The Earth is. This is why I'm trying to challenge people to consider what we call observations, and what is the solar system. This is the only perspective that you've ever seen the solar system, is on a cartoon that's looking at the sun with a bunch of planets that are not even near to scale orbiting around the sun. And Earth is what, the third planet from the sun or whatever. We've never seen a solar system. This is what the point I'm trying to make. When has anybody in the chat, has anybody ever seen anything orbit the sun? I mean, even astronomers, I don't think, have ever seen anything orbit the sun. The sun just goes east to west in the sky, you know, depending on what season it is, depends on it. It'll change its position in the sky. It'll go farther away or closer in, and then we get colder weather and warmer weather, and you'll notice that the sun's like really high above you, really close to you in the summer, and then in the winter you'll notice it's dark out at 5 p.m. and it's way far away, way far away. So to me that's seasons. But Dwayne Glower says, I think the dialogue is off the hook. Haha. Let's see here. ISS RC model, no people in it. That's hard to say that, Mr. Super Sidewinder, and you know, I maybe explained this to you before. What is it that brought me to believe that NASA is not faking the ISS, and that it is something with people in it that's flying in the sky that we can actually film? And that's what Reds is showing you in this video, that you can film it and with the flat earther favorite camera, the P1000. But how many people are filming the space station with the P1000? I've done it a bunch. But I think it's interesting that John in Revelation he said that he was talking about this beast, and he said that they that dwell on the earth shall wonder when they behold the beast. Like, whoa. And then it says, who is like the beast? Who is able to make war with him? Let's see here. Gary's in here. Gary Wabenga. Good to see you. And Flat Earth Nation. Blake Lee. Joe Mama. Joe Mama says, the solar system they taught us is moronic. If you take the time to study it with an impartial open mind, it's completely senseless. Yes, it goes against... I mean, it does make sense in many ways. I mean, we all lived in a world that believed it. We were born and raised in a world that believed it. And now, in these last, 6 or 7 years, we've really started to question a lot of these things. And like, a lot of them don't make sense. And I've already brought some of those things up in this stream. But, so, I just got to tell you, Reds, this little, well, this is awkward. The Earth is the only flat planet. The Earth isn't a planet. The planets are all in the sky. So why are you comparing something in the sky to the ground you live on? That doesn't make sense. Do you know what I'm saying? Look at this picture. Everything in this meme here, whatever you want to call it, everything in this picture on your screen, everything is in the sky except for the Earth. So why would you put the Earth up in the sky with all those planets? It doesn't make any sense. It's not a flat planet. It's just the ground beneath us, and all the planets and the stars are always up in the sky. The only place you ever see them is up in the sky, going east to west. Rising in the east, setting in the west, anywhere on Earth. So, let's see here. I'm just going to see. There was a couple good things he said, though. So he's filmed. They did a comparison with Astronomy Live's. Let's just skip to that and check it out. They got some sweet footage of the ISS.
This is a Celestron Nexstar GPS, an 11-inch Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope. It has a focal length of 2.8 meters natively, with a 2x crop factor of the Blackmagic camera that I have attached, plus a 2.5x Barlow. The effective focal length is 14 meters. By comparison, the Nikon P1000 has an effective focal length of 3 meters. Let's see how it does.
Our first comparison would involve the International Space Station, another thorn in the ass of flat earthers everywhere who like to claim that satellites don't exist. And as you can see from this image, I set up the Nikon P1000 only a few feet away from Astronomy Live's telescope. Both were using Celestron telescope mounts, and both were using the same tracking software to follow the space station. So, same location, same morning, viewing the same pass of the station, and using Celestron telescope mounts running the same software. And to make sure that everything was even, we would use the same tools to stabilize the footage after the fact. And this is what we got. I must say, I am impressed with what the P1000 was able to capture. You can clearly see the orientation of the space station shift as it crosses the sky. But with that said, it's clearly no match for the telescope. With an effective focal length of 14 meters, along with having a much better camera sensor, the detail in Astronomy Live's footage is just amazing. I mean, just look at it. It's absolutely fucking gorgeous. Here, I selected the best frame from both views, and once again, the telescope wins hands down. It really shows the limitations of the Nikon, even with someone who knows how to focus it worth a damn. Looking at the telescope's frame, you can see Soyuz, Progress, Irosa, the SpaceX Dragon, all clearly defined in the image.
Okay, so if you're a flat earther that is thinking that Reds is paid by NASA or something, or Astronomy Live is doing their, like, they have an agenda, you guys you're falling into the truth pit. Like, it doesn't, there's a, like, what is the word, auto-hoaxing? You're auto-hoaxing again. Stop auto-hoaxing. This is just an image that these dudes took in their backyard through their telescope. And no, their telescope doesn't have pre-programmed images in it or something crazy. I've heard all these crazy things. If you point, like, I have a telescope. I have a couple telescopes, and I have 2 equatorial mounts, and I use them, and you can look up at the sky and you can see these things. Mr. Super Sidewinder says red is rude. You know what? I wouldn't argue with that idea, but at the same time, maybe that's just the way Reds is. Or, you know, I call him Reds. Maybe I should call him Red. But Red apostrophe S rhetoric. So it's his rhetoric. But if you look at this image, and this is something Astronomy Live does regularly, by the way. If you're not, that's another channel. If you're not subscribed to Astronomy Live, why don't you subscribe? Because then maybe you'll see that this is not a Where is this? Here we go. YouTube channel. Open link in new tab. I'll give you a link to his channel because, to be honest, he's up in the morning early or late at night filming live on YouTube, like a live stream, filming the space station go over with these kinds of images. And there's another channel that I can show you, or I'll just tell you about it. It's U.S. Launch Report. They have a pretty crazy camera that they actually pull it around on a trailer, and it has like a little I don't know what you call it, like a control room where they control it from inside of the like the back of the truck. And it's, I don't know what it's all called, but it's a camera. I think it's a, I don't know why. I think there's 2 telescopes on it, but they use it for tracking rocket launches. And they get some crazy footage. And then one time they uploaded some footage of the space station flying over, and it's pretty crazy footage. I'm just saying it might even be better than Astronomy Live's. So what I'm doing is, this is Astronomy Live's channel that I'm going to spam in the chat here. Go subscribe to him. You can see a lot of stuff on his channel. Stunning telescopic footage. So yeah, lots of stuff. Back to Red's video. I'm glad Red's showed up because I didn't know if I was going to play this or show this video, but I wanted to show you a few things out of it. So let's look at this. So this is after they stacked images. So this is like, I guess I wouldn't even call this necessarily real, these images. But let's just take a look here. So this is on the right. That's what came through that Celestron. But I think they're stacking these images. So if you were to take a video, though, obviously the telescope's going to get a clear shot. Let me show you guys something. Let's go. How do we do this? Let's go to my channel really quick. I just want to search something and show you what my iPhone. And this was an iPhone 6. It was an old iPhone that I had. I shot Saturn with it through a telescope. And I'm not saying it's anything like what these guys are getting, but it's better than an Nikon P1000. Taking it through a 4-foot focal length, a 8-inch Dobsonian reflector. Let's see here. What do I got? An iPhone, maybe? My iPhone 6S. So yeah, this was in 2018. So it's an old iPhone. Let's just look at this video really quick. I just want to show you guys that through a telescope you can get much better images than through the Nikon P1000. Oops. What do we got for quality? Should be... Oh, this must be a re-upload. It's only 720, but it's a little blurry. But this is my iPhone 6S. Yeah, it's a 6S. 8-inch Dobsonian. Not too bad. Not too bad. So let me go show you one other thing first, or real quick. Here's another one from 2020. Maybe this one will be 2160. $1080. 2160. Let's see what we got. Of course, through my streaming software, it's probably 1080 for you, but whatever. So that's the moon zoomed in through my... Oh, and this one we're on my... It's a smaller... It's a ETX 125. It's a... what's that brand? It's the one that I have the K&N sticker on. It makes it see faster, better. Like going to 11, you know. Sorry it's so shaky and skipping. So you can get good images of things through the telescope. So there's that. But I think it is interesting about what Red said, and I'm not trying to pick on Reds, but it's interesting what he said about Earth being the only flat planet. Reds, I'm sure you've heard this before. Red, sorry. Have you ever played on a soccer field with a round soccer ball? The field's flat. Have you ever played pool with pool balls? The pool table's flat. The room you're in right now, look up at the lights. They're probably spherical, but the floor's still flat. So that's when you say the Earth's the only flat planet, that's like saying the floor in your room should be shaped like the lights in your ceiling. That doesn't make any sense. It's kind of like a I don't know what to call it. It doesn't make any sense though, and I think you know what I mean. So let's see here. I think that was probably all I was going to show about that. There was one thing though. I think at the very end, I thought Red said about why he said about the planet, flat planet Earth. So yeah, the Earth is not among those. The Earth is where we live, Red. Okay? Got it. Okay. Okay, so solar system where? That's the thing I'm just thinking about lately. Let me bring you guys over to the video and let's watch. Where is this? Okay, right here. All throughout recorded time, the billions of people who have lived full lives and passed on, and all the people alive today have something in common. All of us have lived our lives on ground that appears in every way to be completely stationary. This is a fact. Nobody has ever observed the Earth rotating beneath their feet. It always appears to be completely still unless there's an earthquake or landslide or something like that. The world we live on appears to be stationary, and everyone who has ever been alive is witness to this simple observation. Often when debating the subject of Earth's rotation, people bring up a moving bullet train or a merry-go-round and try to explain that something moving at a constant velocity will feel stationary unless there is acceleration. This is an example of an observation that is only confusing people into assuming there's already motion happening, and we just can't tell. I will point out that Earth is not a bullet train or a merry-go-round. Earth is stationary, not moving ground that the bullet train and merry-go-round move over. To make a measuring device or apparatus to detect movement or rotation of the Earth is being opposed by the entire human race's observation. Are we measuring what we think we are measuring if it goes against the observations we make? This is where we need to question whether we are measuring something in reality, or if we are assuming that we are measuring something in reality and attributing it to something we don't observe at all, and calling that an observation, even one that trumps our actual observations in reality. Okay, so I'm going to show you MC Toon doing this. Okay, if you look up at the sky tonight and you make a note or make a plot out, or however you want to do it, write down the location of a star in the sky, just one star. And I guarantee you, this is how we make an observation of the sky rotating. If you come back 5 minutes later or 10 minutes later, that star will not be in the same place. It will have moved. That's called motion. The star will start here and it will move to there. Same as the sun, moon, and planets and everything that's up there. Okay? It's in motion. Looking up at the sky and seeing it in motion is not looking at the Earth and seeing it rotate. This is not, like people say tell me this all the time, that they observe the Earth rotating, And I say, how? And they say, by looking at the sky rotating. See, here's the thing. Everybody on the earth makes an observation. You're making it right now. Every moment you're alive, you're making an observation that the ground is stable and still beneath your feet. You're not having trouble balancing, walking. I'm not saying you would if you were on a globe. I'm saying that you don't make an observation of any kind of motion. We do make an observation of it being still. So here's what in order to live on a rotating globe, here's what you first have to do. And this is not what science is. This is pseudoscience, okay? First thing you have to do is say, no, it's actually the opposite of my observation. I'm observing the ground being still, but my conclusion is that it's rotating. Does see how that's not science? See, there's an inference and then there's actual reality. You think from prior knowledge that you can look at the ground being stable and not moving, but look up at the sky and see it rotating, and you are rejecting the actual reality observation you're making and inferring based on different knowledge or prior knowledge that actually the opposite is what you're experiencing. The opposite of your observation. That's called pseudoscience. So the globe is, as far as I'm concerned, it starts out with pseudoscience because a globe has to rotate. Otherwise you wouldn't have day and night, right? If the globe didn't rotate, only half the world would have daytime and it would be all the time it would be daytime, right? The Earth being a globe, it has to rotate. That's part of the model of the globe. So let's see here. Oh, by the way, that's so much fun. Okay. And, I don't know where that one came from. Let's see. Oh, that's an MP4. Okay. So MC Toon is going to, falsely use some science, or he's going to pretend to do science. And this was a while ago, but you'll see what I mean. What you're saying that, like, if you had the camera spinning, pointed at stationary lights on or whatever, or if you had spinning lights and a stationary camera, wouldn't you get the same thing?
If and only if the camera is directly underneath the center of rotation.
Oh, but you're saying that that would mean that the sky would have to be a solid piece that's moving, and the space between the stars doesn't change physically. That's the only way that you'd need to be underneath that, right? Because if you're pointing it like at an angle towards the ceiling, you're going to get different distances.
So going with the idea of flat Earth, the AE map, where the North Pole is the center, you'd have to be at the North Pole, right? If you're at the North Pole,
if the stars were attached to a piece of cardboard, yes,
or a dome, right? And the dome is rotating versus.
But if you're right.
Versus a globe,
you get ovals. Okay, do you guys understand what he's saying? He's right. He's right. If we put a piece of cardboard on the ceiling, and we put little LED lights in all over this piece of cardboard, and we started turning the piece of cardboard, the only place you're going to see circles is under the center of it. Because if you move to the side, you're going to start to see ovals, right? But MC Toon doesn't even understand what the flat earthers say. Like, the firmament, we're not saying the stars are attached to a piece of glass in the sky. My understanding is that the stars are in the firmament. They're freely moving in a medium that is darkness. Okay, the firmament is, if the sun, moon, and stars weren't there, it would be dark. It would just be darkness. Okay? Or if the sun, moon, and stars and planets, I should say, it would just be darkness. But God put lights in that firmament and they fly around in there through their gates and their portals and all the whatever they do there. But they fly around in there, and we get circular star trails. So this idea of these oval star trails, this is just something that the globe side has made up, and it makes no sense because no one says that the sky is cardboard with LEDs on it, right? The stars are in the firmament. They're flying around in the firmament on their courses and their tasks, their orbits and tasks.
You get ovals. You got it. Yeah. So if to the side, you get ovals if you're not in the center.
But that's not what happens on the Earth.
You're right. We don't get ovals.
No, but we shouldn't get ovals because we get circles. That's the whole point. Is that on a flat Earth? See, that's going to this AE map or whatever. No, you just said that you just brought up the AE map, and that's the problem. There is no map that is going to, because in reality we see circles. So why are we talking about ovals? Because that's just like a fairy tale. We're not talking about ovals. We're talking about circles.
But it's testing. It's science. You have a hypothesis.
Science. If you're going to bring up science, then we're going to talk about stationary Earth.
Then you
can't bring up science in this. Do you guys see how he's claiming science? But he's actually listen to what he says here in a minute, because I'm going to talk about the clockwise and anti-clockwise rotation of the south and the north stars, like the axis point. They appear to go in opposite directions, but that's only because of the direction you're facing. It depends. No matter where you are on the Earth, the direction you're facing is going to decide whether they're anti-clockwise or clockwise. No matter where you are. You can be in the very southern hemisphere, as south as you can go, and if you look north, they're going to be anti-clockwise. And that's just how it works. It's the direction you're facing that makes them either appear to move clockwise or anti-clockwise. But listen to what he says, though. Uh-oh. It's not playing. That's not a good sign. Wonder what I did. Let me try to... Uh-oh. You know what? I'm kind of thinking I remember this one having this video has a bug in it. But I watched it earlier. I don't know why it's not working. Let me try something. Let's go to desktop. And that's not even working? Oh boy. I can't believe this is going to happen again. Every time I live stream, I have problems with my program lately. Hello, Captain Caveman and Danielle Mayer. Good to see you guys. Yazwil Soaring. Good to see you. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Let's try a blank image. My program locked up. So, that might be towards the end of the live stream. So what it's interesting that even MC Toon doesn't understand the rotation of the sky. Let's see here. Error. YouTube is not receiving enough data. Well, that's probably because my program quit. What are you guys seeing? MC Toon still? I think you are, but... Tony's Coffee House is trying to say something, but he's got his... Oh, it's a smiley face. Let me see here. Why does this happen? Okay, you guys are gonna see something funny if I try to do this. If it happens this way, you'll see. You'll be able to see Mr. What's his name? What's his name? I already forgot. The science guy or something. Science Bob, or what's his name? Bob the Scientist? Is that what it is? He'll be on here. He'll be up on the pulpit, standing on a pulpit, but it wasn't actually him. It was just something I was goofing around with one day. I'm going to shut this program down, and I'm going to restart it, so I don't know what you'll be seeing. So, let me try to do this. We'll see if this works. It's going to reset all my everything in the program, so if it starts, if it works, okay, there we go. I'm gonna guess it. Well, let's see. Open widget. I got poor stream status. That's... Oh, there we go. Now you should be seeing a black screen, I believe. Okay, I think we're back on track. Somehow. Video. Let's try this one more time. Nope, it's not gonna work. Oh wait, right here. What? Okay. You're saying because your doesn't move. It doesn't move beneath us. Look at the room you're in. Okay, we're back in business, you guys. So he's saying I'm doing science, and I'm like, no, you're not. Oh, now it locked it up again. I guess it's this video makes my. I gotta try it again, guys. Sorry, I want to see this video. So I should have just left it playing, because then maybe it would play. So give me a moment here. We're gonna start it up again and play. Give me the blank image, the black screen. Oh. Okay, we're trying this again. I apologize, guys. Should be a blank image. I don't know why we're seeing that. Let me try one other thing. Let's load a preset. It's not working. Okay, so I guess I'll probably just have to, because I can't do anything without this program. That's just the way I have it set up. So now it says no data. That's weird. Okay. Something's happening. I'm not sure what. Give me a moment. Something's happening. Let's see, I'll right click the program here and see if I can shut it down completely. It's not doing anything. So anyway, doing science, he's saying that he's predicting I wish I could just play the video. Happy 4th of July, everyone, by the way. I'm at standby here. There's absolutely nothing I can do right now. But yeah, they use science in a false way. They claim that they're doing science, but then they reject it immediately. Because in science, if you make an observation and then you make an inference, you can't just say, oh, the observation is obsolete because I say it's the opposite. Because I already know something. That's an inference. You're inferring the opposite of your observation. That's called pseudoscience, guys. That's what we were all taught as children. So I don't know why. Let me try Control-Alt-Delete. Let me see if I can just shut it down that way. That's probably just going to make my computer lock up even more. Okay, now it says no data. I don't know why. Now it's giving me trouble. Sorry, guys. It might just be the end of this stream. Let's see here. Do I got anything? Video? I got nothing. Okay, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue this later on. I'll get this video working because what I'm trying to show is that nobody's making any predictions. Because the predictions are only based on consistent observations that have been made all throughout time, because the things in the sky, they're on a consistent orbit. They have these orbits and tasks, and they don't go from them. God commanded them. That's what actually happened. And they follow his commandment. Except for 7, and they're called planets. But I don't even know if I'll be able to end the stream again. Okay, looks like I will. But thank you guys for hanging out. I'm gonna end it. That my program's locked up, and I can't even like restart it. Or let me try this. Let me try right clicking it one time. Now my mouse locked up. Great. Okay, wait a minute. Close it. Close it. Close it. It's not working. Okay, I'm going to end the stream. Thanks for hanging out. And yeah, if just think about how we learned all these things is only by, you know, like if you were going diving in the ocean, you wouldn't know what was down there until you dove down there and looked, right? And then you'd learn about it. You could write some formulas for down in the bottom of the ocean, but not until you went there and tried it. So it's not like you had some knowledge about it beforehand. Your knowledge comes from observation. So Mr. Super Sidewinder ends the stream with these words: stay flat and motionless. Thank you. So yeah, I'm going to end it. And next time, I'm going to have to clean my computer out. Thanks, guys. Have a great night. Ooh, it just died. Cancel. End. Okay.